Part 51. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 501. The fisherman watched all this quietly and did not bother Suren. When Suren completed his 8th revolution, at that moment, the world was within his reach. However, he still couldn't see through the person in front of him. Are you wondering why you already have the ability to create and destroy the universe and know all things, but you still can't see through me? Suren looked at him without saying anything, just wanting to wait for his explanation. The fisherman took off the bamboo hat on his head, and his whole body began to look younger visibly. Suren was stunned when he saw that the other party also transformed into a young man. The other person looks exactly like me. You are me and I am you. We are one. But we are also different, because your soul does not belong to this universe. I grabbed it with force. My name is you, and your name is Joe. It turns out that this is how I traveled through time. Suren looked at him and asked, "What are you doing all this for?" You sighed and turned into a fisherman again. "Oh, this look still suits me. Do you still remember what I said to you in the river of blood? This world is dead. I am powerless. I want to find someone to save it." You waved his hand, and he and Suren appeared in a river of blood across the universe. But this river of blood has dried up and no longer flows. Tell you a story? A long time ago, a child was born. He grew up happily until he reached adulthood. But the war came and he, as an adult man, was captured. War is ruthless. Unfortunately, he fell on the battlefield. He died, and no one even took care of his body. Naturally, no one knows his name. Only he knows that his name is Universe. As soon as these words came out, Suren's mind roared, and at that moment, he understood everything. Before this, even perfect omniscience and omnipotence did not know all of this. It seems you understand, I don't need to say more. Suren understood. It turns out that he and you share the consciousness of this person named Universe. No wonder he is called the concept God. The universe was dead, but it was death to him. For his consciousness and everything inside him, this death time will be very long. Maybe it's hundreds of millions of years, maybe it's tens of billions of years. However, it was obvious that his body could no longer hold up and began to decay. The constant appearance of sky caves is a sign of his decay. And the endless evil beasts were the microorganisms that decomposed his body. The dry river of blood across the universe is his blood vessel, and the boundless white wall is his spine. The endless spiritual sea surrounding the heavens is his sea of consciousness. Suren used his sword to slash at the white wall because he was the consciousness of the universe. How could his consciousness hurt his body? I wanted to mend the sky cave, but found it was in vain. He's already dead, how can I possibly revive him with the things in his body? You looked at Suren. I have tried countless times and found that no matter how I use everything in his body, I can't prevent his corruption and death, so I can only spend a lot of money to capture you from the outside world. Perhaps, you, the outsider, have a chance to save everything and save this world. This is also my last chance. Suren looked at him and suddenly smiled. You don't want to save him, nor do you want to save all living things in his body, but you want to save yourself, right? Uvenian did not refute. Yes, I did want to save myself. As the consciousness of the universe, I cannot survive if he dies. I cannot survive without him. That's why I split myself into a consciousness and gave birth to you. Now, you are not saving me, but saving yourself. We don't have much time. Within 20 years, you and I will be dead. In a few thousand years, everything in this world will perish. You looked at Suren and said in a deep voice, "You'd better have a way to save us, otherwise, I won't let everyone in this world live before I die." Including your loved ones, of course. I have taken the memories of Ling Qingxiu and Mu Hongxia from Luo Yuxian. I will return them to you when you figure out a solution. Don't think about using your power to kill me or reverse time and space to save them. You just need to understand that you are my separated consciousness. My ability is superior to yours. I have already arranged all this. You have no chance. Suren tried to use his abilities and found that he couldn't kill him, but he couldn't kill himself either. The so-called ability that he has is superior to his, is just that he has the upper hand. In order to ensure that he would not betray him, this guy even included Ling Qingxiu, Luo Yuxian, and others in his plan. You left here, leaving Suren sitting alone in the dry blood river and meditating. He has been planning for so long and there is nothing he can do, but what can I do to save this universe? There is no difference between the abilities of the two. What he can do, Suren can only do what he does. Just when Suren was distressed, a soft voice sounded. Suren. In the small world, Ling Qingxiu had heard all the conversation between the two of them. He softly wanted to comfort Suren. Qingxiu, I'm fine. Don't worry, I will find a way. Looking at the small world that was still expanding, Suren suddenly thought. This small world. Suren took one step forward, and the next moment he was back in the cave. Suren captured a ray of the rotten death energy in the cave and put it into the small world. The breath immediately began to corrode the earth, but it only corroded a hole the size of a fist. Suren was overjoyed when he saw this, and this time he grabbed more death energy and put it into it. The corrosion of the earth in the small world by these breaths is far less than that of the outside world. I know, I have thought of a way to save this world. As long as I find a way to expand this small world to accommodate the entire universe, it will be the new universe. This small world is Suren's only chance. Moreover, Suren is different from the creature universe. Even if he dies, it will not affect the small world. But Suren, you can save us, what will you do? After hearing Ling Qingxiu's words, the surprised expression on Suren's face slowly disappeared. His consciousness as the universe is different from Ling Qingxiu and others. No matter where he hides, he will die when the time comes. Using this method, Suren could save everyone, but he couldn't save himself. In fact, he understands this. Suren shook his head and smiled. It's okay, I can save you, that's enough. I will create a perfect world for you. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 502. Tianyu, the coast of the East China Sea. Without Suren's control, the leader of the Wushuan alliance regained the initiative in his body. The god of war did not take advantage of him to kill him while he was unable to move. Now that he was free, he took action to kill the god of war. Although the two innate treasures were gone, the martial god was injured much more seriously than he was. However, just halfway through the attack of the leader of the Wushuan alliance, a cold snort came from the void. Stubborn. With just a cold snort, the leader of the Wushuan alliance exploded into a ball of blood mist in front of everyone, as if he had never existed before in the world. The god of war stared blankly at the blood mist, with mixed feelings in his heart. Well. Finally, all the feelings in the martial god's heart turned into a sigh. Suren's figure appeared under the sky, and the next second he came to Ning Feiyu. Brother Ning, you don't have to do that thing of mending the sky, just go and enjoy the world with Zhongling. After Suren finished speaking, without waiting for his answer, he gently nodded to the god of war and disappeared here. Ning Feiyu looked at the place where Suren disappeared and murmured. Zhongling, have you noticed that Brother Su has changed? Become detached from things, detached from the world and independent. I feel that he just now is the real god. Zhongling nodded. I don't know what happened to him. At the edge of the universe, there is a white wall with no end in sight. Suren appeared here, and after looking carefully, he drew a ball of purple energy from a certain location inside the wall. Hongmeng purple energy. This is one of the few breaths of life that still exists in the universe. This is the key to expanding the small world. Even Suren can't fabricate it out of thin air now, he can only search for it bit by bit in the universe. Suren put this ball of Hongmeng purple chi into the small world, and the entire small world expanded twice as fast as before. Nowadays, small worlds can contain everything in a solar system, but this is still nothing compared to the huge universe. Suren still needs more time to collect Hongmeng purple chi. 10 years have flown by. Some people have seen Suren walking in the wilderness at the edge of the universe. Someone has seen a resolute figure of a young man in the endless abyss. Some people have also seen a lonely figure deep in the blood river that has not stopped flowing. The news of the imminent demise of the universe was spread to all corners of the universe within 10 years. Although people know this information, there is nothing they can do about it. More and more sky caves appear in various places, and endless evil beasts are constantly devouring the universe. In order to fight against evil beasts, people either abandon their homes and find new places to live, or they fight to the death to defend their homes. Suren, have you found a way? We only have 10 years. You found Suren at a restaurant in a planet city. Suren was leaning against the window, looking at the people coming and going downstairs, and did not answer his words. Suren. You was a little angry. As time went on, he became more and more irritable. Suren turned around, looked at him, and said calmly. I found it, but before that, should you return the memories of King Xiu and Mu Hongxia to me? Hearing this, Yu, who was originally angry, suddenly became happy. Are you telling the truth? Have you really found a way? Suren nodded and said. Of course it's true, otherwise how could I have the leisure to eat and drink here? Tell me, what is the solution? Suren didn't say anything immediately after hearing this, but looked straight at him. Yu chuckled upon seeing this. Isn't it just their memory? There is no need for us to be unhappy because of this. I can return Mu Hongxia's memory to you. As for Ling Qingxiu's, I need to know whether the method you said is true before I can give it to you. Good. Suren knew that it would be impossible for him to hand over the memories of the two of them now, so he didn't say anything more. Yu waved his hand, and a wisp of memory fragments like a dream stream flew from his hand towards Suren. In the memory fragment, all the memory images about Mu Hongxia flickered faintly. Suren took it into the small world and then penetrated it into Mu Hongxia's body. Senior Sister Mu, welcome back. After Mu Hongxia accepted all the memory fragments, her eyes were confused for a while, and then she sighed. Long time no see, junior brother Suren. When Ling Qingxiu saw that Mu Hongxia had recovered her memory, she was also happy for her. Qingxiu, don't worry, I will help you get your memory back. Ling Qingxiu nodded lightly. Actually, it doesn't matter whether you take it back or not. After 10 years of getting along day and night, I already understand your intentions. I have thought about this small world tens of thousands of years ago. I don't care about that memory, as long as you are here, that's enough. Suren, I've given you something, can you tell me? Is it Hongmeng purple chi? It is indeed one of the few chi in the universe. Seeing his expression, Suren knew that he didn't believe what he said. When you heard this, his joyful expression suddenly turned cold. Ling Qingxiu could not care, but he couldn't. He had to get her memory back. Maybe it's because I'm not from this universe. You can understand that I bring hope from the outside? Ha ha ha, don't worry, these are not problems. I will help you collect Hongmeng purple chi now. Yu Vinian nodded, then laughed, and said. After you finished speaking, he hurriedly left here. Why can your little world resist the corrosion of the death energy of the universe? Suren pointed at the vast patch of purple energy in the sky. Suren didn't explain too much. He stretched out his hand to grab it, and a ray of death appeared in his hand. In Suren's small world, he and you stood in a deserted mountain. This is the result of 10 years of walking in the universe. Let me take a look. Small world, he tried, but it turned out that just didn't work. Suren was silent. You do not believe. As long as this small world is big enough, Suren can indeed save the entire universe. Suren, how long will it take to complete? It is the new home for all living things. You is very concerned about this issue. I have a small world that is now expanded to accommodate 1/10 of the universe. I believe that in another 10 years, it will be able to accommodate the entire universe. 5 years, give me another 5 years. This small world can save all living things, but it cannot save the two of them. He naturally knew what this meant, which proved that what Suren said was true. I once personally cultivated a small world, but it could not withstand the corrosion of death. I hope that in 5 years, you will return King Xiu's memory to me. You urged. What else are you missing? I can help you find it together. Okay, okay. Looking at his leaving figure, Suren still had one thing in his mind that he had not told him. Looking at the small pothole on the ground, an astonishing light burst out in Yu's eyes. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, how like the human world. Chapter 503. Suren shook his head and was about to leave the small world when he heard Ling Qingshu's exclamation. Suren hurried over. I saw Ling Qingshu and Mu Hongxia sizing up Caier's 9-color, or to be precise, the now chaotic colored egg. The 9-color divine phoenix egg originally only took 100 days to hatch, but after the Hongmeng purple energy entered the small world, this time was delayed again and again. After absorbing the Hongmeng purple energy for a full 10 years, her color also turned into the color of chaos. Suren, she seems to be breaking out of her shell. Ling Qingshu often came to take care of Suren after hearing that the person in the egg was his sister. Today I accidentally heard the sound of an eggshell breaking and came to check, and then I saw this scene. Crack. There was another crisp sound, and several cracks appeared around the eggshell. Be careful. Suren protected the two girls behind him. Boom. A terrifying breath came from the egg, and the surrounding air became extremely hot. If Suren wasn't here to protect him, the area around here would probably be burned to ashes by this aura. The eggshell was completely broken at this time. Bah! A cry came, and Caier finally broke out of her shell. As soon as she was born, her aura had already surpassed the realm of the god of war and others. If Suren created the world, then she was the first innate creature born after the creation. Elder brother. A clear cry sounded. Caier transformed into her former self and threw herself into Suren's arms. Long time no see, Caier. Suren smiled and patted her head gently. Brother, I also feel that it has been a long time. I thought I was just sleeping, but I didn't expect it to be so long. As Caier spoke, she opened her mouth and let out an inexplicable chaotic breath. Brother, let me give you something. Before Suren had time to ask what it was, the chaotic aura had already integrated into his soul. What's this? Suren said doubtfully. Hee, I don't know either. Anyway, a voice asked me to give this to you when I was sleeping. Upon hearing this, Suren raised his head and looked at the patch of Hongmeng purple energy, with a flash of doubt in his eyes. Suren checked himself and didn't notice anything wrong. The thing seemed to have disappeared. Seeing that the inquiry could not be found, Suren stopped paying attention and said to the three of them. I have other things to collect. In the blink of an eye, 5 years passed. In the past 5 years, you found Suren many times to send Hongmeng purple chi. The small world also quickly expanded to accommodate 2/3 of the universe. But it's still not enough. There is no shortage of Hongmeng purple chi. What is needed now is time. Just 3 years is enough. Listening to Suren's words, Yu Buletin doubted that he had it. Okay, I keep my word, Ling Qingxiu's memory can be returned to you now. The reason why Yu believes in Suren so much now is that he can't find a way to save himself, so he can only place all his hopes on Suren. Secondly, he saw with his own eyes that Suren's small world could withstand the corrosion of the aura of death, which greatly increased his confidence. The third is that Suren and he have the same roots. If he dies, Suren will not survive. He believes that Suren cannot not consider his own life. But there was another thing he didn't consider. Suren never thought about surviving from the beginning. Yu has been planning for so long and has been controlling Suren's life, but he will eventually lose to Suren at the last minute. As Ling Qingxiu's memory returned, Suren also breathed a sigh of relief. Everything has been done, and now it's time to wait. Suren has already thought about the next 3 years. There are some people and things that he needs to do with the little time he has. Suren transformed into several clones to accompany those who were waiting for him everywhere in the universe. But he went to Blue Star, and he still had one thing to do. Near Blue Star, a sky cave appeared 5 years ago. A steady stream of evil beasts flew out from inside. In order to fight against the evil beasts, Blue Star humans have already become one under the leadership of the Dragon Kingdom. Suren was walking on the streets of Kyoto, the original Dragon Kingdom. At this time, countless monks were running in one direction, their faces full of excitement. Hey, brother, what's so exciting? Suren stopped someone and asked. You don't know? Our female war goddess from Blue Star has brought everyone back from the sky to defeat the evil beast, and everyone is rushing to greet her. Goddess of war. Of course, she is Sushen's sister. She is still young, but her strength has reached its peak. She has led everyone to eliminate evil beasts many times. This was established by the Sword God and others in order to remember that Suren helped Blue Star get rid of the control of the Sky Empire. When Suren looked at her, the girl seemed to be feeling something and looked over. It turns out to be Yunwei. I didn't expect you to be so old. Now you are also a big hero in everyone's hearts. In the square, a statue tens of meters high stands here. The crowd around Suren immediately dispersed, not daring to get too close and blaspheme the goddess in their hearts. When did you come back? This call shocked everyone around him. Suren gave her the magic sword Thousand Blades, and without waiting for anyone to try to keep it, he took one step and disappeared. However, Suren only had 5 years left in his life at this time, and his face was much older. It would be impossible to recognize him as the person on the statue unless you look closely. The girl fell in front of Suren and said in surprise. After hearing this, Suren followed the others curiously and walked forward. Even Suren, who transcends all things, has endless pressure suppressing him in this endless seabed. Alas, Suren's realm is no longer something we can figure out. Now she did it? Brother Suren, don't worry, I will protect everyone. Suren thought of the little girl named Shen Yunwei in the orphanage. She had said that she wanted to be a hero like Suren. This made the people around him even more convinced that the person in front of them was the Sushen they kept mentioning. The girl left the team and flew straight towards Suren. The king sighed softly. It's back, it's back. This sight directly made the originally calm girl become extremely excited. This is his final preparation and a gift to you. Yunwei, I give you this knife. You have to protect everyone in the past few years. Suren waved his hand and pocketed the endless sea. The sword god and the king also hurriedly flew down when they saw Suren. Suren. The abyss is endless. I just came back. I have to go to the abyss. You guys are busy with yourselves. The two masters of the sword god kingdom were in front of them to clear the way, and behind them, a young girl was holding a sword, with a resolute face and a calm look on her face. The only person she could call her brother was that person. What is carved on it is exactly what Suren looked like 15 years ago. The crowd looked at the countless figures flying in the sky, and suddenly cheered like a mountain. Shen Yunwei stared blankly at the knife in his hand, and then nodded firmly. Brother Suren. Cair was in the small world. When did he have a sister? I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 504. 3 years later, in the void of the universe. Suren and Yu stood side by side and looked at the gradually shattering universe. When does it begin? Yu asked. Right away. Suren looked at the expansion of his small world. At this time, the size of the small world had immediately exceeded the size of the universe. In the small world, Suren has already settled down with Ling Qingxiu, Yun 11 and the others. Just 3 days ago, they held a simple wedding, which was Suren's last companionship for them. It was only 3 days ago that Suren found out that Ling Qingxiu's father was actually the leader of the Yixing cult. It's no wonder that when Suren left Blue Star, the leader of the Night God cult was hesitant to speak. With the death of the leader and deputy leader of the Wushuan Alliance, the Wushuan Alliance has long since fallen apart. Her father has already left the Wushuan Alliance and is missing. However, Suren still used great magic to find Ling Qingxiu's father on a planet somewhere in the universe. It was also under his witness that Suren completed the wedding. Yuvinian nodded and breathed a long sigh of relief. The arrival of this moment is particularly important to him. Whether he can succeed depends on what happens next. Suren did not tell him the truth, but quietly waited for the expansion of the small world to be completed. If you knew that Suren had lied to him, they would not be able to escape the fate of extinction, and they would immediately become furious and destroy the entire universe. It was impossible for Suren to tell him the truth before he took the universe into his small world. Time passed by minute, and finally at a certain minute and second, the small world completed its expansion, and it was enough to hold the entire universe. Here we go. Suren said softly, and then his consciousness instantly covered the entire universe. At this moment, all living beings in the universe feel a supreme will enveloping them and everything around them. All the creatures raised their heads and looked at the sky, not knowing what was happening. Only a few people knew that the plan of salvation had begun. Within Blue Star, the king of the country, the sword god, Shen Yunwei, Xiao Ding, Li Muzi, Lu Winwen, Chen Laoba, Chen Yao, Xiongda, and other people who knew Suren silently chanted Suren's name in their hearts. Within the sky and star domain, Owner, Ice Dragon King, Steel, Dragon Emperor, and other great demons silently looked into the depths of the universe. Hessen Star Territory. Your Majesty, Suren is about to start saving the world. Are you really not going to find him? The maid Xingran sighed. She had noticed a few years ago that Her Majesty had not forgotten Suren at all. Sometimes he would sit blankly against the window for the whole day. She is not stupid, she knows that Her Majesty the Queen is simply telling the truth. Shika shook his head after hearing this. Oh, Your Majesty, I am worried for you. What are you afraid of? Okay, stop making trouble. Let's talk about it sometime later. Let's not affect him during this period. Xingran was overjoyed when she heard this. The fact that Her Majesty the Queen could say this meant that she had figured it out. Hey, okay, Xingran will accompany Your Majesty when the time comes. Heavenly Domain. Ning Feiyu and Zhongling were playing around in the world. Feeling this will, they both stopped and looked at the sky. Brother Su, it's up to you. Ning Feiyu looked at the sky worriedly. Don't worry Feiyu, Suren is so powerful, there won't be any problem. Zhongling comforted him from the side. Well, I believe him. Boom. A roar resounded throughout the universe, heaven and earth fell, and yin and yang were disordered. Countless rays of light are rushing around in the void of the universe. After the entire universe trembled for a moment, it was like a stone embedded in the earth being pulled out, leaving only a void pit in place. But this pothole is a bit scary. Suren held up the universe with one hand and slowly integrated it into his own little world. Buzz buzz. Endless evil beasts poured out from the pits in the void like a tide. They had no target to devour, so they focused on Suren and you. You took a step forward and crushed them with a wave of his hand. But after one group died, another group of evil beasts emerged again, and it was impossible to kill them all. You focus on integrating the universe, and leave these evil beasts to me. At this last moment, you will never allow anyone to affect their final step. Suren didn't speak, and was integrating the entire universe with all his strength at this time. But halfway through the process, only half of the universe that had been integrated was suddenly stuck there. Suren looked at it in confusion. The space in the small world was obviously enough to hold the entire universe, so why was it stuck? When Suren was confused, several black beads abandoned by Suren in the corner rose into the air and headed straight for the Hongmeng purple chi. Pearl of the Void? Suren glanced at these beads and suddenly understood. No, they should be called death energy pearls. All things in the world have endless cycles of life and death. Only the alternation of yin and yang and the integration of life and death can it become a real world. The death chi pearl exploded with a pop sound after touching the Hongmeng purple chi. Under the endless death energy, it merges with the life energy of Hongmeng purple energy. The world is finally complete. The universe in Suren's hands began to merge again. Boom. At the end of the universe fusion, Suren looked at this new world and murmured. Those who know me, Suren, will have eternal life within 3 generations. The power of the spoken words shrouded everyone who knew Suren. All those who were enveloped by the words of the Dharma were shocked, knowing the great wish made by Suren. Suren. Boom. The last corner of the universe has been successfully integrated into the new world. At this point, Suren breathed a sigh of relief. After hiding the small world, Suren looked at you in front of him. You also felt that Suren had successfully integrated the entire universe, and couldn't help but excitedly said. Suren, did we succeed? Suren nodded, then shook his head. What do you mean? You looked at Suren's expression and had a bad feeling in his heart. The universe has been successfully integrated, but what? Yu's voice became much colder. But you and I can't survive. As soon as these words came out, Yu's face immediately turned cold. What did you say? Suren looked at him calmly. I said, you and I can't survive. Suren. Yu was instantly furious. You fool me. I have been planning for so long, I gave you 18 years, and you tell me we can't survive. Sorry, that's the truth. I can save everyone, but I can't save both of us. Yu was completely furious and reached out to slap Suren. Suren shook his head and released the Endless Sea with a wave of his hand. The Endless Sea immediately enveloped the two of them, and the strong pressure made Yu's movements slow down a bit. The Endless Sea is the stagnant water that appears after the death of the universe, and has the effect of suppressing everything in the universe. Suren never thought of using the Endless Sea to suppress Yu, because this was unrealistic. He just used the Endless Sea to temporarily trap him and prevent him from threatening the new world. Suren's power penetrated into the Endless Sea and completely enveloped Yu. Suren. So you are lying to me. You are lying to me for those ants. Yu rushed left and right, but found that he couldn't get out no matter what. Even if he goes out, the new world is here with Suren, and there is only endless void outside. There is no point in going out. Thinking of this, you became even more crazy. However, he and Suren are both cosmic consciousnesses, so neither can kill the other. Stop struggling, we have the last 2 years left. You was desperate. He arranged Suren's life, but unexpectedly, he was tricked by Suren in the end. Ha 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 ha. Suren, you win. You gave up the struggle and accepted his fate. Time flies, and 1 year has passed. At the bottom of the endless sea, Suren woke up, and his consciousness drifted into the new world. There, 2 new lives were born. Another year has passed. Suren and Yu's bodies have begun to weaken at this time, and their end is approaching. Suren, I'm just kidding you, we'll never see you again. After Yu said these words, his body turned into dots of light and slowly disappeared in front of Suren's eyes. Suren looked into the new world, looking at the figures waiting hard, looking at the 2 little lives, with deep reluctance in his eyes. Bye now. After saying his final goodbyes, Suren's body turned into little bits of light and disappeared. Complete the book. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 505. 3 years later. The breeze blew on the lake, causing ripples on the surface. Beside several wooden houses by the lake, 2 porcelain doll-like children, a man and a woman, stood in front of a beautiful woman with a small windbreaker. They raised their little heads and asked in a sweet voice, "Mom, where is Daddy? When will he come back?" The beautiful woman's nose felt sore after hearing this, and her eyes slowly became covered with red mist. She slowly knelt down and looked at the 2 people and replied, "Your father has gone to save the world, and he will be back when the time comes." When the 2 porcelain dolls heard this, they jumped up and down happily, and the windmill in their hands quickly spun a few times. "Mom, Dad is a great hero, right? I heard Aunt Yoon say that Dad is a great hero. He saved everyone. Everyone is thinking of Dad." The woman nodded, lowered her head and shed tears that could no longer stop flowing. The 2 porcelain dolls didn't notice that their mother was crying. They just happily ran to the lake with the windmill, shouting that their father was a great hero. By the lake, 2 little guys were running and chasing each other. The windmill in their hands made a whirring sound, which was the sound of the wind. Oops! The little girl running behind lost her footing and fell to the ground. "What are your names?" A pair of big hands held the little girl, and his voice was soft and gentle. Yoon 11 came over and comforted Ling Qingsue. "Where did you come from?" Yoon 11 asked again. After the little girl stood up, she curiously looked at the person in front of her. "I don't know what to say. In fact, I know the ending is too sloppy, but I can't help it. The greatest good is like water, which benefits all things without dispute. The name Qingsue is well named. Qingsue, Youngzi, I'm back." Ling Qingsue was shocked when she heard this. She had been thinking too much just now and forgot to keep an eye on the 2 little guys. "Youngzi, by the lake. My name is Suruoshui, and he is my brother Subuhan." Complete the book. What about Ruoshui Hebuzu? Where did he go to play? Suren smiled and nodded. Live on and be reborn for the new world. In short, thank you all for your support. The green mountains will not change and the green waters will flow forever. We will see you again when we have the opportunity. After Ling Qingsue finished speaking, she quickly flew towards the lake. Yoon 11 quickly followed after seeing this. Sister Qingsue, do you miss your husband again? When Suren heard the movement behind him, he slowly turned around and looked at the 2 girls with a smile on his face. This voice is the last vitality of the universe, which he gave to Cair. But at the last moment, a red flame ignited in Suren's body, and a voice sounded inside him. Next to the cabin. Mainly because of my grades, I no longer had the passion to continue writing, so I had to finish it hastily. Final words. When Suren heard this, his thoughts returned to 3 years ago. You know my mother. And through the power of Caier's Phoenix Nirvana, it was given to Suren, giving Suren a chance to survive. Ling Qingxiu wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes and nodded gently. The two searched around in the air and finally saw the figures of two little guys and another person. This person. She failed to leave a child for Suren, so she cared about the two little guys. The ending has actually been planned for a long time, but I just needed to take the last few days of book test recommendations, so I only updated it after a few days. I'm sorry for this, please forgive me for messing around. Brother, do we know each other? I feel so friendly looking at you. He originally thought that his consciousness would disappear along with Yu's consciousness.